University of Valencia Science Park is research. Studied bioscience engineering in Ghent University, and did also my PhD in Antwerp University later on, both in Belgium. And during my PhD, I was already interested in plant physiology and how plants interact with their environment, both in the lab and in the field. And this research I continued, basically, I'm continuing until now. I came to Spain, to Valencia more specifically, as a PhD student during a stay. And I was working already then with the group that we're still here now in the Laboratory of Earth Observation in the Park Scientific. They are really been from the moment in that time, it was 2010, they were already focused on preparing for the FLEX mission. The FLEX mission is a future satellite mission from ESA focusing on the photosynthesis of vegetation. So we have been working already since then on preparing activities together with the European Space Agency. And many of my projects have been related to the preparation of how we will be processing this future satellite data from space. In 2015, the FLEX photosynthesis mission got selected by the European Space Agency as the 8th Earth Explorer. And Earth Explorer is typically a very scientific mission that has scientific objectives. So we're trying to explore something about the functioning of our Earth that is beyond what we know. And that has been basically like a key moment to further apply for projects related to the satellite mission. Since 2016, I've been applying for several projects with success, also from the General Valenciana. I went for a postdoc 1 year to the University of Finland, to University Helsinki, in Finland. Currently, I'm a PI of an ERC starting grant. It's called PHOTOFLUX, which has the objective to understand better how plants are arranging or regulating the absorbed energy in function of the carbon balance. So plants are really able to regulate really precisely their absorption properties and their emission properties. We can measure both with the current sensors we are using, and this is also what the future satellite will do, and will provide us high spectral resolution data to be able to understand better how light is absorbed by the plants and how it is emitted. It's emitted through a signal called chlorophyll fluorescence, so it's energy which is really emitted by the molecules itself, and we can observe this now also from space. So our projects, we are using in projects a lot of high spectral resolution spectroradiometers that we apply in the lab, but also in the field. We are measuring first at leaf scale to understand how these signals and how the processes are being activated, because the plant is really actively changing the way how it is absorbing the light. And then we develop algorithms for this to understand how the signal is behaving. And these algorithms we are later then also applying on the signals that we are detecting also from a canopy scale, which can be a crop field, but can also be a larger scale. Currently, we have lots of new infrastructure here in the lab that we obtained through some infrastructure grants from FEDER, which were issued by the Generalitat Valenciana also, and co-funded by the European Union. We have now a walk-in chamber with a whole plant screening equipment, where we are able to do the controlled measurements of plants with automated protocols. So we can regulate the light, the temperature, basically the environmental conditions as it would be outdoors, to be able to also track then with our sensors, which are imaging spectroscopy sensors or cameras, also thermal cameras, structural cameras, or that they can measure the 3D of the structure of the plant. And in this sense, we can really regulate and automate the way we detect the signals activated by the plants, learn from that, and then apply also what we, with the same sensors or the same type in the field. Photosynthesis, our life basically almost depends on Earth on photosynthesis. Is important for food productivity. The whole human growing population needs sustainable way. We need food being produced, and of course, with our changing climate, the vegetation is being subjected to more climate extremes, to longer droughts, to more changing patterns in the weather conditions. They are basically at moments not have enough water, not have a lot of nutrients, and plants basically they indicate really fast in a way that is not detectable even for the human eye when they are perceiving some kind of of constraints in their photosynthesis reactions, so in their functional behavior to uptake the carbon and to grow. In this sense, we are developing techniques that we can detect this early stress going on before we can basically detect it with a visible eye. So what we are trying to do with our project, with the PHOTOFLUX project and with the team involved in the experiments, is that we are trying to understand better, very specifically, how the signals are pronounced in vivo, let's say, inside the plant. So we know really precisely how and in which optical range they behave, so we can upscale them to more complex scenarios. Because of course in the lab we can control very well what is the object that we are observing is purely the plant. While of course the scaling issue with remote sensing techniques is always has the complexity that in real life you have way more complexity in signals due to the background, due to the soil, due to other non-vegetated areas. So the sensors have to be really precise. Not only our sensors but also the future satellite sensor have a very high signal-to-noise ratio, so that we are able to distinguish through kind of spectral mixing what is a true mechanism that we want to retrieve from it. We want to focus only on the specific behavior which is due to the plants changing the way they absorb energy and they use light for doing photosynthesis. The ERC project is a very high multidisciplinary project. It involves knowledge from biology, from biophysics, biochemistry, and of course applied remote sensing techniques that we are using. We have people from different kind of fields collaborating. Also in the Park Scientific, it's a high advantage to have the proximity of so many institutes which are basically our top laboratories or are very with high excellence, and have also people using having a lot of people motivated to collaborate with us, which is wonderful. Then also in general at European level we are working with several research groups. We are also involved in cost actions which are trying to harmonize the techniques that we are using in remote sensing, because of course there are a lot of sensors on the market, a lot of new instruments, and we are trying to, of course, to make sure that within Europe different groups are learning from each other, which is very important. I think it's often when things become very technological, we are of course always making the same mistakes, or we're struggling with the same things when we go to the field. And in this kind of networks, we are learning from each other, and this is I think very essential in science.